So in this article, we will confine ourselves to the classical systems and we will discuss what mechanics is all about. Mechanics is all about the study of statics and dynamics of the systems. In statics, we determine the true state of the system, and for the classical systems, determining two states of the static cell system means obtaining position and velocity of all constituents. But in dynamics, we think that the objects are in motion. Okay, so the classical system at particular time in dynamics we study how the state of system changes when the system is subjected to an external disturbance. Okay, for example, if we take a system of one back kept in horizontal flow, okay, let's mark it with black pen. So if we take the horizontal floor concept, the block position at that time, at that particular instance, is telling about the statics of that particular time. When you subject that block to the future force of some kind and you observe the position and velocity in some future time, here the system of exactly position and the velocity, the block at any particular time change in the future, and that is called the dynamics. Here we can calculate the energy, the kinetic energy of the system and the motion. So the classical system we have studied about the static and dynamics. The block will respond to the cause by getting the accelerated. So the static systems means the going exactly the position and velocity of a body at particular time. Okay. So this particular time concepts depends on the cause and effect phenomena. So I have explained you earlier also that when you give a particular force to that object, that is the cause due to which the body moves. Okay, and the acceleration produced is an effect. This effect is true for any physical system which nature has created. So for natural systems, whatever external disturbance in the form of force we have, that force has some cause, and that cause respond to the naturally created system in a linear way. So this motion has a linear equation, that is F is equal to ma. So we have studied about this equation where force is subject and is understood as the cause of producing acceleration. Okay, so any natural system with subject to any external disturbance or cause, then as an effect, the state of the system changes. Also, there is inherent tendency in the system to oppose any change in the state of system. The measure of strength of this tendency is called inertia, and the inertia of the system determines the rate at which the state of system changes with time and the effect of the cause. इसका मतलब ये है कि जब भी हम किसी ऑब्जेक्ट्स को उस पर्टिकुलर कॉज के अंडर उसको फोर्स हम देते हैं जो कि कॉज है, उसको जो रेस्ट्रिक्ट करने वाला हमेशा एक एंटिटी होता है, और दैट टेंडेंसी टू मेजर द स्ट्रेंथ is called the inertia. The inertia of the system is the rate at which the state of system changes. The inertia always opposes the motion. Okay, so here we have to understand this part. The cause is restricted by a quantity, the entity which is known as inertia, and here the inertia is called the mass. The effect produced literally on the cause, then the system is said to be linear. Most of the systems created by nature are linear. So we will understand the concept of linear systems with the method of linear equations. Okay, in future. Okay, so the cause and effect produced in a linear system are related by the equation. So okay, for example, in V is equal to IR, the Ohm's law, as we increase the potential, V is the potential, I increases current. So the system of current is carrying conductor is also linear system. Okay, so here we have that the cause is equal to inertia into effect. So for v is equal to ir, v was cause, r was inertia, and I was effect. For f is equal to ma, f was cause, m is inertia, and a is equal to effect. I hope the part is clear up till here. Okay, so we will go to the next part. Here are some slides. So the next part consists of the some formulas of linear systems and the algorithms. The algorithm says the study of statics of systems includes the equation F is equal to ma, where F is equal to cos acceleration A effect and I is inertia. Without this cos F, there is no acceleration A. ओके, ऐसा नहीं होगा कि पहले एक्सेलरेशन हुआ फिर फोर्स प्रोड्यूस हुआ, ऐसा नहीं होता. पहले फोर्स का होना होगा, उसके बाद ही एक्सेलरेशन उसमें उसका इफेक्ट दे पाएगा. I have explained you the acceleration case in many cases of turning vehicles where you fall, a person gets deflected from its actual path due to the inertia of position and the inertia of motion. I hope this part is clear. Okay, so the study of statics is the present state of a system. So we have three tenses: present, past, and future. So in statics, we study about the present state of system, which is called the present statics, and apply it dynamical equation so that to determine how the state of system changes. And by applying these equation, we verify and know about the future of the system, that where it is going to go. That determines the future of the systems. In electronic system, we also have such cases where we have a charge carrying conductor Q, an electric field due to a test charge as effect, as cause. So here electric field due to test charge is a cause, and the motion of the Q that under influence. Similarly for magnetic fields, the B vector, that is magnetic field vector, is the cause. So this cause and effect, where F is the effect here. F is the effect here. Electric field is the cause here, and Q is the test charge that is under influence. So the force carrying by possessing by the electric and the magnetic field can be determined as F is equal to QE plus V cross B. This is the combined effect you will study in higher classes of electrostatics and electrodynamics and magnetostatics. Okay, so this concept of force can also applied in different cases, and this has different meaning for different cases. ऐसा नहीं कि फोर्स का मीनिंग हर जगह पे वैसा ही है. यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हो कि एक जगह पे ये कॉज है, दूसरे जगह पे आप देख रहे हो एक इफेक्ट है. वहाँ पे एक्सेलरेशन जो इफेक्ट है वो आपको फोर्स का इक्वेशन एम ए पुट करके आएगा, जहाँ पे आप एक्सेलरेशन की वैल्यू निकाल सकते हो. ए एक्सेलरेशन इज इक्वल टू क्यू ई बाई एम, है ना. यहाँ पे ये फोर्स जो है ये एक इफेक्ट है. जो क्लासिकल मैकेनिक्स था, न्यूटन लॉ, वहाँ पे फोर्स जो था वो कॉज था. तो इन सभी बातों को बहुत बारीकी से समझना पड़ेगा, तब जाके आपको फिजिक्स थोड़ी बहुत समझ में आएगी. इट्स अ नेवर एंडिंग प्रोसेस एंड इट्स अ वेरी डीप सब्जेक्ट इन फॉर फ्यूचर perspectives. Okay, to understand it in a very brief manner, you have to understand how the equation play different role for different natural phenomena. Okay, here Q is the charge under influence of the electric field, and the Q can also be known as test charge. You will study it in higher classes. Okay, so electric field can can be said like field due to a charge. It can be diverging for positively charged particle. You can say that the electric fields are divergent, and when the Q is negative, the field comes towards it and they are convergent. So the convergence and divergence of the field depend on what kind of charge is in the field. For a test charge of positive positive quantity, the field is repulsive. For the test charge of negative entity and minus charge, the field is attractive. So it's entirely depend on the test charge, that is in influence of what kind of field. Similarly, vice versa. Okay, we will explain all these things in your classes, higher classes, when these chapters will come into play. So far, so we have to understand the study of static is the present state of the systems and apply it into dynamics for its future states. And by that, we determine the futuristic prospects of the system of particles, velocity, acceleration, motion, your first chapter. Okay, so entire concept is called mechanics. So mechanics is the study of statics and dynamics, both together. Okay, next slide. We have some geography content here, right? Okay, let's do some graphical notations and equations and problems related to the graphs. Okay, so we have the linear equation, and the linear equation is represented by y is equal to mx. The entire equation is actually represented by, if you want to tell, you can tell that y is equal to mx plus c. So we have linear and quadratic equations. So for linear equation, we have, for say, one single quantity flowing in a straight line, and quadratic equation we have the squares. Okay, so we will see how graphs and how equation of motion are determined by these concepts of linear and quadratic equations. First we understand the mathematics, and then we will understand the physics behind it. Okay, the class is very important for you and to understand it from basics to the advanced level. So y is equal to mx plus c, where c is the intercept. What is intercept? Well, c. Okay, let's change the color. So the concept of y is equal to mx plus c, where c is the independent variable. It do not depend upon anything else. It is not derived, it is fundamental. And y is the dependent variable. The variable means the value can be changed. Such values which you can put and make the equation, like 0, 1, 2. These values you can put in the equation and you can have the corresponding dependent equation for y. For example, if you put y is equal to mx where x is equal to 0, you will only get c if c is there. Otherwise it will pass through the origin. For example, let's see here, x and y are the axis, where x is the axis horizontal and is always represented for dependent quantities. You can also represent the horizontal by time for distance time graph. And y means the vertical ordinate axis is represented for the independent variable. So x is abscissa, y is ordinate for independent variable, and y is for dependent variable, and x is for independent variable. So if you put the different values of x and you get the corresponding value of y, which is a straight line. Okay, so for x is equal to 0, it passes to the origin. For x is equal to 1, for x is equal to 2, similarly for x is equal to 3, you can see. You can put various values and you can extrapolate the graph. Okay, so here if you want to add some intercept point, this was for y is equal to mx where we have no intercept. If you want to add for some intercept points and some positive intercept is there in the y-axis, remember. So here we have y is equal to mx plus c as the equation, and the positive equation intercept will go from some point but not from the origin. This y is equal to mx plus c equation is also very useful in various physical equations for deriving the equation of the motion. Okay, so here let's take y is equal to x is equal to 0, so we will have y is equal to 0 for the equation passing through the origin. origin से पास होने वाले इक्वेशन का x भी 0 होगा, y भी 0 होगा. ठीक है, चलो let's see what happens in the for the negative intercept. If we have c minus c for negative point, the slope will pass from the downward side. So here we have negative intercept. Okay, let's see another case in which in practical we have the equation of motion. The first equation of motion, v is equal to u plus at, where v and u are for uniform velocities, and you have to find it with the help of linear equation, and we will draw the graph related to it. So you know that the slope, this m in y is equal to mx, is called slope, and it is represented by y by x. So this slope is also called tan theta in the trigonometry equation. Okay, and y is perpendicular and x is base. So this m is called slope of the linear equation, where y upon x is the perpendicular by base represent the theta, means the inclination of the graph. Here for physics we have a is equal to v minus u by t, where a is represented by change in velocity upon time taken. The value is change in velocity by time, represented by slope of the vt graph, which is called acceleration. So acceleration in the graphical equation of velocity time graph is the slope of the equation. Okay, I hope the physics and the mathematics is relatable